salts of amines. Right, so see these questions here. First, nitro group is present on the secondary position here. So that when you treat with H2 and nickel, what can we expect? It can reduce to form amines. CH3I excess. This is Hofmann methylation. If you just recall, it will undergo Hofmann methylation, which means N. The methylation happens 3 times here till the time nitrogen gets positive charge. And I minus. This is the salt that is formed. That on treatment with ETO minus. ETO minus is a strong base. It will extract a proton from the alpha position. These are the alpha positions, and it will always extract the alpha position which is at less substituted, because NM3 while leaving, it will be poor leaving group. Got it? So because it will have affinity with this carbon, so there would be carbanion character developed, if you recall. So it would always go for Hofmann products. So ETO minus will take away that H plus, creating a double bond here, and Me thrice will come out. So the product we can get from here is this double bond plus N Me thrice. Correct? So again, if you didn't understand this, check it out. N Me thrice, which is present here, and CH2 H ETO minus, extracted proton, pi bond has formed here. This group has left. It is driven by E2 mechanism with carbanion character. So Hofmann will be major product. This will be major product. Let's see a similar reaction here. C2H5Br, got it? Now when you treat that with AgNO2, if you recall, this time nitro group will be formed. Let me remind you once again, CH3X. In case if you react that with KNO2, it is O minus N double bond O, N double bond O. This is the formation. So this oxygen is the one which will attack here. So we will get CH3O N double bond O. Okay, this is the product form. But if the same thing, in case if you treat with AgNO3, so it is Ag, right, with bonded with oxygen double bond O. So it is a lone pair of nitrogen which will attack and X will be removed. So the product which you will get is N double bond O, O minus and plus. So we will get nitroalkane in the case of AgNO3. Just revise that once again. So nitroalkane is the one which you will get. From here, if you see the product, you will first get C2H5NO2. That in the presence of lithium aluminum hydride, we would get C2H5NH2. So primary amine is formed. Again, exhaustive methylation, C2H5 with N, Me, Me and Me plus sign here, and I minus. This, when you treat with tert butoxide, it will take proton from the less substituted carbon. In fact, there is only one alpha carbon here. So therefore you will get this as, this bond will be broken. So CH2 double bond CH2 plus N Me thrice. So this will be the final product. I hope all of you are able to remember these reactions. Similar to that, whatever we have studied in the morning, let's see. Suppose if we treat that with FeHCl, nitro will get reduced to amines. So we'll get aniline here first, NH2. NH2 has a lone pair on it, which when you treat that with CH3OCl, right? So we will have this acetylation done. So we will get NH C double bond O CH3. Okay, so this is acetanilide. So we'll get acetanilide formation. Yes, that is clear. So that would be P and Q here. Okay. In the morning also I have reminded you that if in case if you have N double bond O plus and O minus, the oxidation state here is plus 3 and the oxidation state here is minus 3. So the number of electrons transferred in this is 6 electrons, and here there are 6 nascent hydrogens also being transferred. 2 for this, 2 for this, and 2 for nitrogen. So that's how we will get this product. Okay. Next, if you see meta dinitrobenzene, when you have selective reduction can take place. So in sulfide salts, we saw that it would form NH2 and NO2. And NH2 again will undergo acetylation here. So we would get this as NH double bond O CH3 with NO2 here. That would be the final product. Nitro, when you treat that with lithium aluminum hydride, reduction will take place. Okay. Just recall, with lithium aluminum hydride, if it is aryl nitro aryl groups here, it is not simple amine which you will get, not benzene amine which you will get. You will get actually diazo group. This way, you will get this diazo group. Yeah. This on treatment with D2, right? So we would get this as deuterium getting substituted there. So we will get ND added there. So we will get ND, ND, and this. This is the final product. Next, if you have NO2 on reaction with SnHCl, this will completely convert into nitro form, NH2 form, aniline form, or in this case it is primary amine. And primary amines, when you treat with NaNH2, NaNO2, we will get disonium salt is formed here. So first we will have the formation of disonium salt, which is N2 plus Cl minus. But disonium salts of alkyl groups are highly unstable, so they will give this carbocation formation, and N2 gas would be released. And this carbocation formation, because there is a water content here, the major product that you will get is a second degree alcohol. So imagine if there is a second degree alcohol which is a major product here, usually you will be mentioned that this is a major product. From the major product, if concentrated H2SO4 is used and heat is being done, so dehydration will take place and we'll get alkene. Okay, this was asked in JE once, so check it out how the sequence is being. SnHCl, first amine is formed from disonium salts, second degree alcohol is formed, that underwent dehydration. Okay, check this reagent carefully. Zinc, in case if it is HCl, NH2 will come. In case if it is ammonium chloride, it is relatively moderate reducing, so you will get NHOH, hydroxyl amine formation is observed. And if you recall, in Tollens reagent, today also in paper discussion I told you, hydroxylamine will always undergo reduction, oxidation under the presence of Tollens reagent. So it will become nitroso N double bond O plus Ag will get precipitated. Alright, so these are the type of questions that have been asked in JEE, so just check it out. You know how they would be relating questions here. Okay, so I want you to note down later what are the types you have. Now continuing further reactions, right? In case if you have nitriles or isonitriles, cyanates or isocyanates, then also we might get primary or secondary amines. For instance, if you take RC triple bond N, that when you react with lithium aluminum hydride, it gets completely reduced to RCH2 NH2. This is not the reaction which is seen by NaBH4. Same way, secondary amines also will be isonitriles will also convert into isonitriles will convert into 2 degree amines and no reaction with sodium boron hydride. But if you treat that with H2 by PT, cyanates will get reduced to RCH2 NH2. Okay. And in the case of sodium and ethanol, which is Bovold-Blanc reduction, right? So if you recall, call it as Bovold-Blanc reduction. Usually we do Bovold-Blanc reduction mainly for esters, but the same reaction is valid for aldehydes, ketones as well as cyanides. So it will reduce, and in cyanides cases it will go up to amine formation. So primary amines will be formed in this case. Got it? This is amines preparation by cyanides or isonitriles. If we have amides directly, amides could be produced by the partial hydrolysis of RC triple bond N. So if you take partial hydrolysis like H2O 1 mole or 1 equivalent here, so we can get up to RC double bond O NH2, and that when you treat with lithium aluminum hydride, we can convert into RCH2 NH2. Okay. See, cyanides, when you treat that with H2 by PT, they can be directly converted into amines. But if you take amides, they don't get converted here. Got it? So this is one important thing, that amides doesn't react with H2 by PT directly. Okay. But if you treat that with NaBH4, same, either this or this, they are not reactive. I hope you understood that. What is the reduction of amides here? Next, we already have seen the hydrolysis of isocyanates by which we can get the primary amines. We had various types of reactions including Hofmann bromamide degradation. Just to recall, what was Hofmann bromamide degradation? We take an amide and treat that with bromine and NaOH. So through a mechanism, Wolff rearrangement, we will get isocyanide formation. So isocyanide formation. So this isocyanide on hydrolysis will give us primary amines. Now the same can be achieved, the same isocyanates can be achieved by Schmid reaction, Curtius reaction, Lawson's reaction, or by diazonium ion reaction. How does the reaction happen in Schmid? We take an acid, react with hydrozoic acid in concentrated H2SO4. So where this H2O will be replaced by N3, and N2 being a leaving group, it will go and form isocyanate. Curtius, which is exactly similar to that of Schmid, except that we are taking acid here we are taking acid chlorides. Next, Lawson's will take hydroxylamide on treatment with tosylation, we will get isocyanate. Diazonium, same thing, this NH2, it becomes N2 plus, removes that, and finally you will get isocyanate. Okay, this is a table we have studied even in carboxylic acids. Let me just remind you once again, this mechanism I have already given there. So check out how does it happen. N3 minus is the one which attacks here in Curtius. SNTD mechanism is same, Cl minus will leave, N3 will get replaced in place of chlorine. N3 bistructure would look like this, and you can see Wolff rearrangement will take place here, removing out N2, and finally you will get isocyanate. Lawson's, first there is an lone pair on oxygen here which will undergo tosylation. So first tosylation will happen, Cl minus will leave. So after the tosylation step here, in OH minus it will remove H plus, makes N minus formation here. So this is tosylation with OH minus. So once you have that, now you can see the rearrangement then take place. R will shift here, this will make a double bond formation, OTS will be leaving, isocyanate is formed. Okay. Next, RC double bond of NH2 here. In case of HNO2, in case of HNO2, diazotization will be seen, N2 plus has been formed, right? Then after reacting with OH minus, this OH minus will take away the proton, gets N minus charge, and R will migrate from here, N2 will be left, isocyanate is formed. Schmid reaction, in concentrated acidic medium, this OH will become OH2, which is a donating species, which is a leaving group. So N minus will attack here, OH2 will leave here. So once you get that here, right, this H plus is lost and you'll get N2 form here. So R will migrate onto nitrogen, pi bond will form here, N2 will leave. That's how the Schmidt reaction is observed. So in all these cases, the idea is they are forming isocyanates. And isocyanates, whether in acidic medium or a basic medium hydrolysis, you will get RNH2. Okay, I've been revising this, thrice now, so you better remember these reactions. This is one important area from carboxylic acid and amides. Okay. Okay. Now, these are the conversion type of questions which could also be asked. Then how do we do that? Check it out. Suppose if you have a double bond here, with HCl addition reaction will take place, right? Cl will come here. Cl can be replaced with cyanide by SN2 mechanism, and using lithium aluminum hydride we can reduce this to NH2, right? So once you get this NH2 in the presence of Na, NO2, HCl, we will have here an alcohol, we can have carbocation formation here, got it, which will undergo rearrangement to get this tertiary carbocation, right? And then concentrated H2SO4, we can see elimination can take place, double bond here, right? So either of the cases we are getting the same double bond in this case. Right. I guess you understood that. This type of questions are usually asked, so you should know the pathway, how to approach that. Usually everything will end up getting disonium salt, from there alcohol is formed, through that elimination, tosylation, halogenation, anything could be done. Okay. This is an industrial method by which primary amines are made. This is very what do you say, best, in fact best way to yield the good amount of primary amines. Here the side products can be eliminated, or side products are very less. Check. We take phthalimide. We know that this is phthalimide. Phthalimide in the presence of KOH, means OH minus, will extract the proton from here, because you can see this is a amide group. Amides are generally neutral, but if they are resonating on both the sides, this hydrogen would be acidic, and N minus is formed, K plus, right? Now this phthalimide will react as a nucleophile with any Rx, remove this X, which means this R should be SN2 ready. SN2 ready means it could be methyl, it could be 1 degree, it could be 2 degree. Then we can get an R substitution on nitrogen here. So basically we are replacing this H with whatever the desired amine we want to get with this R. If I want alkyl, if I want ethylamine, then I will use this R as ethyl group. Okay. Next, on reaction with OH minus. Now what does OH minus do? OH minus will attack here and remove this. I'm not writing the SNTD step, you know that first OH will come, this O minus will come, again it will close, this bond will break. Okay, so we would get this as NH minus here, so you might get that as this group, plus here we have double bond O, O minus, double bond NH R group. This is what you will have. Okay. Got it. Right. If we react that with OH minus again, okay, you would get two products here. One thing, if OH minus will extract from here, correct, N minus will be formed, and we expect this group to shift. But that would only be formed when you have a good leaving group here, correct? So R is not that leaving group, got it? So even if it extract this proton here, okay, it is of no use. So reaction will again come back only. So this OH will get attached, OH will attack as a nucleophile now. So we will get this as double bond O minus, and again OH, O minus, and NHR. And here it would be a slow reaction because elimination of N minus is usually not that easy. So double bond will be formed, N minus will be lost here, so we will get this as R NH minus, which will fetch the proton from whatever the acid that has formed here, so minus, and double bond O OH, it will extract this proton. So finally we will have this as RNH2. So the idea is here RNH2 is formed. The shortcut, the short way of remembering is simple. See, wherever the phthalimide, succinamide, all of this, diimide is forming, imide group. First remember imide. Imide is NH connected to C double bond O on both the sides. These imide groups, when you treat that with OH minus and then make an alkylation, which means by SN2 mechanism, let R get attached here. Once you have R here, this entire reaction, this entire bonds will be broken and you will get RNH2. So the final product will be RNH2 only. Got it? Now the same mechanism, Gabriel phthalimide synthesis, here also if you check out, the lone pair on this nitrogen is going to be attacking here, and this lone pair will be attacking on this side. So both sides you can see nitrogen will leave and take away the proton from this. So what do we have here now? We'll get double bond O, NH, NH, and bond between them. And the rest of those two protons has been removed by this nitrogen. So I will get this as R, NH2. So check out carefully, this nitrogen is actually the one which is forming the primary amine, and these two nitrogens are the ones which are actually making the bond here. So phthalimide, even when you treat that with hydrazine, that amide will be formed here and nitrogen will come out as primary amine. See the reaction here. When you have N minus, basically from phthalimide, on adding with OH minus, you will get N minus and K plus. So it will act like a nucleophile. So that nucleophile, in case if you have alpha halo ester group, so that will act like a nucleophile, attacks here, removes Cl minus, alright, and we will get this form where you have N with CH2, C double bond O, OET. On hydrolysis, ester will become acid, correct? This ester will become acid. So we would have CH2, COOH forming here. And that on further hydrolysis, got it? Amides on hydrolysis, acidic hydrolysis, will become acid again. So we will get this as COOH, and this nitrogen will turn out to be NH2. So we will get this as COOH, CH2 and NH2. Okay, this is an alpha amino acid. It's an alpha amino acid. Now this is the only alpha amino acid which doesn't have a chiral center. Otherwise all the 20 amino acids we'll be learning in biomolecules, except this, all of them will have a chiral center. So this is a way to remember, this is like the first amino acid, correct, in the list. And this alpha amino acid which does not have a chiral center and only two hydrogens are present, that is called lysine. Okay, this is called glycine. And in case if one of the hydrogen is removed, is replaced by CH3, this is becoming a chiral center now, and this is called alanine. These two amino acids are very important in biomolecules. So you got an idea that how do we prepare the amino acids now. So through the Gabriel phthalimide synthesis only. First we will take phthalimide, react with the desired alpha amino acid we want. Suppose if I want alanine, instead of this H I will have CH3 here. The rest of the reaction is same. I will get alanine at the end product. If I want glycine, taking this CH2, make the reaction done, I will get glycine here. Right, so this is an important reaction. So on this page, this is a new one, and I would suggest you go through and practice this better. Gabbard phthalimide synthesis. Next, we can get aromatic amines, yeah, right, using halobenzenes. Suppose if you take halobenzene and react with NH3, this reaction doesn't take place because SN2 will not happen. SN2 will not happen on phenylic chlorides or phenylic halides. But in case if you take NH3 in the presence of Cu2O, Cu2O will first form a complex here. You can see CuNH2 4 times. This complex is formed. And this NH2 which is present, right, that can be treated as the base here. So in this complex, this acts like a base. And at high temperature, from here it will, I mean from this complex, this NH2 minus can connect onto the alpha hydrogens here, got it, and remove those hydrogens and make it through Benzene mechanism, and then NH2 can be attached. Finally you will get a aniline form. Let me show the mechanism here. First NH3 on reaction with Cu2O will form this complex, removing out water. That on heating we will have sufficient NH2 minus as a base present, and this NH2 minus will extract a proton from here, right, and remove out that Cl, got it. So what do we have here is a benzene. So benzene intermediate is formed. Once benzene intermediate is formed, NH2 will attack here and carb anion is formed, and that will extract proton, and we will get this as aniline. So direct reaction of ammonia isn't going to happen, but in the presence of Cu2O, high temperature, high pressure, benzene mechanism can be favored. We can change these conditions of high temperature, high pressure. Instead of using NH3 in Cu2O, we can directly use that using NaNH2 at around minus 38 degrees itself, because this is a very strong base. So in liquid ammonia, the reaction will be much more fierce even at low temperature. So you would see that NH2 will extract this proton, okay, so it will form a benzene here, Cl will leave, benzene is formed. Benzene NH2 will attack on it and removes this as minus, I mean you will get this as a minus charge here, a double bond is here, and then from liquid ammonia proton will be extracted, we will get this as aniline. We have seen this mechanism, right. Benzene mechanism is also known as, right, elimination addition. Elimination, I guess you guys understood that, how to get it from halobenzenes, okay. Right. See one typical example that was asked here. Suppose in case if we have any NO2 groups present here, the minute we have NO2 groups present, they are strongly withdrawing. So that would help to form a more stable Mason-Hammer complex. So instead of going through what do you say, benzene mechanism, now you will see if you add ammonia this time ammonia will be treated as a nucleophile, attacks on this chlorine, and we would get a complex, Mason-Hammer complex here, right, and this would close to remove the chlorine here, aromaticity is retained, and NH2 will come out, NH2 will form, HCl will come out of it, plus HCl. I guess all of you understood that. The same can be done even with, you know, primary amines, which will act like a nucleophile here. So the lone pair on nitrogen will attack, and we will get NHCH3 here. Okay. Then once you have this NHCH3, check it out. We have NH4 twice S, which means it will go for a selective reduction. Where does the selective reduction take place? In the morning we have discussed this, okay, If you recall, where does the selective reduction take place? When we have nitrogen strongly donating groups here, in case if there is a bulkiness here, instead of this ortho, it will go for para. So where does it happen? NH2 and NO2. Except in the case of NH2, it was happening at ortho. Got it? Otherwise, it will happen at para. Next, once you get this NH2, now if you react this with NaNO2 and HCl, see this has this is the secondary amine and this is the primary amine. Right? So between the secondary and primary would have more reaction with NO. So this would react, NO would react better with NaNO2 and it would form NHCH3 here and NO2 with N2 plus, okay, N2 plus Cl minus. So basically we got disonium salt. If you recall the reactions of disonium salt when you treat that with H3PO3, this N2 will leave, got it? So we will see that N2 is left and H3PO3 will get reduced and sorry, H3PO2 here, right? H3PO2, and that will get oxidized here, and what do we get here? We will get this as benzene on this end and we will get this as NHCH3 and we will get NO2 formation. Good example. Just follow this example once again, how the reaction is happening. Anyone has a doubt here? Check out the next question. Suppose if we have reaction of tertiary alkyl halides, obviously NH3 is also sufficiently good base and nucleophile. If it cannot go for SN2 because of this more substituted carbon, it will go for E2 mechanism. So you would see NH3 will extract proton from here, leaving this chlorine, and major product would be alkene. Okay, and whatever that NH4 which has formed will come out as NH4Cl. Okay. Internally, if you have a leaving group here, so immediately ammonia will attack here, it will relieve that bromine and we would get N and H. We just studied in the morning, what do we call it? Aziridine. Okay. Suppose if there are two bromines here, both of them are primary positions, so definitely CH3NH2 will react and through SN2 mechanism Br will be left, and first we will get this NH2 formation here, sorry, NHCH3 here, Br here, so this NH3 NH lone pair on it will react on that through SN2 mechanism again, so to get the cyclic form. This will be the final product. The same can be seen even in the case of OTS. OT is also a good leaving group. Lone pair will attack here. First OTS will leave, right? So, and this lone pair which has come here will again attack here. This side the OTS will also leave. So therefore we will get this as N and pH. This will be the final product. Okay. So these are few classwork questions, right, which have been some or the other way asked in competitive exams. So just check out what type of questions usually. Last preparation is by NaN3, preparation of amines by NaN3, sodium azide. In azide we will see N minus form is present, which can act like a nucleophile, and usually they do not go for elimination reactions, they always go for nucleophilic substitution. So N3 minus, you can see it will attack here, removing that X, and we'll get RN3. RN3 by structure, if you check out, it is R, right, N, we have triple bond N, okay, with plus and minus here. So you can imagine this is a good leaving group, N2 is a good leaving group here. So whenever you add any reducing agent like lithium aluminum hydride, sodium boron hydride, H2 by N2, first this group will leave, then the nitrogen will get reduced. So we'll have RNH2 and N2 will come out of it. So that's how it will be formed as a primary amine. So all you need to do is make an SN2 reaction here to get azide, alkyl azide, and that on reaction with reducing agents we will get amine, primary amine. So these are all the preparation reactions, including some type of questions that could be asked. I have mentioned it. So please follow that, you should be able to understand. Now the second part of this chapter is about the basic strength of amines. This I'm pretty sure you have learned during GOC, but anyways, few important pointers as per this chapter we will revise it. Let's see. Now in case of amines, amines showcase the basic nature, and if you are operating amines in gaseous state or even aprotic solvents, gaseous state or aprotic solvents, right, or non-polar solvents, they will only have their basicity will be only influenced by electronic effects. For instance, if you have ammonia, primary amine, secondary and tertiary amine, if you see this methyl group is going to give plus I effect. So more the number of methyl groups, more plus I effect. More plus I effect is the donation of the lone pair. So that will act like a better base. So the basicity in gaseous state or in aprotic solvents or non-polar solvents, you will see 3 degree, 2 degree, 1 degree and amine. So more substituted alkyl, more will be the basic nature, which is not the similar pattern which you will see in aqueous phase. First, in aqueous phase, we have to check out for the conjugate acid, right? Because in aqueous phase, what we expect, NH2 will from water or sorry, any proton which you added will first extract the proton or add the proton to get RNH3 plus. What is this one? This is a conjugate acid. So this base is first changing into conjugate acid. So it would have certain Kb value. So we will analyze how this pKb, Kb value and pKb values are varying. Okay. So based on that, we will comment which one will be more basic. So in short, we have always learned that if the conjugate acid will become very stable, it implies the base is going to be stronger, right? Because if the conjugate acid is stable, the reaction will shift more in the forward direction. Kb value will increase. If Kb value increases, the basicity increases. So let me just relate that. Stability of conjugate acid is directly related to increasing Kb value, right? If increasing Kb value, just remove this. We can say increasing Kb value, which means pKb value is decreasing, got it? And basic nature of RNH2 will increase, right? By means of equilibrium, this is what we can comment. So our entire focus should be now on the stability. So if we can find the conjugate acid to be more stable, we can definitely say its basic nature is more. Okay. For identifying the stability in aqueous solution, we will have to check out both the factors. One is the inductive effect. Okay. What are the inductive effects which are acting, as well as what is the solvation that it is, what is the solvation that is seen, in the conjugate base, conjugate acid. So you can see these are the conjugate acids of the respective amines. Suppose if I take primary amine, I'll get RNH3 plus. The minute this nitrogen has plus, the delta positive on hydrogens will increase. They will start showing strong hydrogen bonding with solvent molecules. So the extent of hydrogen bonding is 3 here, which means the solvation is much better here. So 3 hydrogen bonding solvation is observed. On the other hand, if you check out the secondary uh, conjugate acid, I mean second degree amine, which is forming a conjugate acid, it would have two hydrogen bonding solvation, but the number of alkyl groups are more, so its inductive effect is increasing. Here the inductive effect is mainly because of one alkyl group, here it is because of two alkyl groups. While on tertiary we have three alkyl groups, but hydrogen bonding is only one. Okay, so both of them are contradicting to each other. Inductive effect is trying to increase the stability, got it? Solvation is trying to increase the stability, but both of them are going exactly opposite to each other. So this can only be observed experimentally, that which one will be more uh, basic in nature. So what it has been observed, that in the case of aqueous medium 2 degree, which will have a compensation of both inductive effect as well as hydrogen bonding, that is showing better basic nature as compared to that of 1 degree, as compared to that of 3 degree, as compared to that of amines. Now this is valid when R is methyl group, when R is methyl. Okay, what I meant to say is that R2NH is, I mean CH3, it is a CH3 twice NH is greater than CH3NH2 is greater than CH3 thrice N greater than NH3. But in case of R being ethyl, right, slightly it is different, still secondary would be dominant, which means ET twice NH is greater than ET thrice NH, ET thrice N, which is greater than EtNH2 greater than NH3. This is when R is ethyl. As much as NCERT is concerned, only these two are given. So I would suggest you remember these two. Propyl will almost follow this. From butyl onwards it will change. Butyl onwards the tertiary becomes more, because now inductive effect would be more dominant factor. But that are all not asked for the syllabus. But so strictly following, you check out how the methyl and ethyl varies. So in aqueous solution, this will be the methyl order. So the way I remember is 2130, okay, 2310. Is this clear? So this is in aqueous medium. Out of all of these combinations, like I can have a combination of all of these, if at all I have to compare, like second degree methylamine, right, with maybe primary amine. How do I compare all this? So this comparison based on the experimental data I have provided here, check it out. Out of all this, second degree methylamine has been the most strongest base compared to third degree, then second degree amine, right, then 1 degree ethylamine, then 1 degree methylamine, then 3 degree methylamine, then pH CH2NH2, got it? Now this time pH is slightly withdrawing, so that's why its basicity is quite less compared to the others, okay, which is but still better than that of NH3, okay, which is less than that of pH and Me thrice, which is greater than this and greater than this, okay. So in short, all of these, if you check out from up to NH3 here, these are all localized, okay. Especially when I try to solve the questions of basic medium or basicity, I always look at two categories. First, which of them are localized, which of them are delocalized. If you see the lone pairs present on all of these nitrogens, they are all localized, got it? So since they are localized, they have to be more basic as compared to that of one which are delocalized. You can see these last three are delocalized. So irrespective of whatever combinations I keep it here, they will always be more basic compared to that of delocalized lone pairs. This is the first filter I will do. Then I will go for the respective order within the molecule, right, and check it out. Recall the cases what you have learned in GOC, okay. So you should be able to revise them once again. I have added lot of questions, classroom questions for this basic strength, how you have to evaluate basic strength in all of these cases. Okay, so I have given specifically different phases also. If nothing is mentioned from here onwards, you can see nothing is mentioned. Always take it as an aqueous solution. Got it. So for instance, if it is in gaseous medium, I'll just try one of them here. Correct. So if I take this as 1, 2, 3 and 4, these 4 cases, we can see tertiary would be the best. So this greater than that of secondary, greater than that of primary, and ammonia. So keep trying like this for all of this, all of the examples here. Okay. Now in case of this, for example, E we have delocalized here, this is delocalized here, and this appears to be localized. Okay, sorry, right? Out of this, when you compare, you should always check out hybridization and give that the priority. Okay, so now in this case, if you check it out, although this is delocalized, it is localized. Here it is delocalized and delocalized, but between these two, if you put the hybridization, this is SP, SP2 and SP3. Okay, basically it is SP2 to SP3. So now if you check out between these three, favorable is always the one which has better P character. So you can see NH2 here. So third one will be more basic, then second one, then first one. Other than that, I think you can simply go through localized and delocalized criteria. Got it? Next, one more categorization is this. These are called gonadines, right? So which are, their conjugate bases are, their conjugate acids are very stable, right? Check it out here, NH, which is double bonded here. If you check out, this is localized, this lone pair is delocalized, this lone pair is also delocalized. So between localized and delocalized, the localized electron will extract proton, more than that of delocalized one. So the first proton you have to extract would be from this localized one. The other way of remembering is, if nitrogen has a double bond, the lone pair will always be localized. Okay. And here also this is localized, so this will fetch the proton. Now between these two, if you have to compare, see, when you write the conjugate, if you write the conjugate acid, this will have an equivalent structure, 3 equivalent structure. Here we will have 2 equivalent structure, so this will be more dominant. Okay, its conjugate acid stability would be much better. So that's why basicity would be like this, right? Next, check out this case here. When you have these cases, when we have aniline cases, only the ortho position is the one which you need to be careful with. On ortho position, if there is any bulky group which can give sufficient amount of steric factor, then the protonation of NH2 becomes difficult. So which means, in case, imagine if there is NH3 plus forming, it would have severe van der Waals repulsions with the ortho position group here. Because of this, the protonation itself is prohibited, or less amount of protonation is done. So this is called SIB, steric inhibition of protonation. So due to steric inhibition of protonation, the basicity of ortho substituted anilines would be less. Okay, rest of the cases you can just check out with which is strong donating groups. For instance, if you see CH3 from here is giving plus I effect as well as hyperconjugation. CH3 here is only supporting with plus I effect, here there is no effect. But even no effect is better than ortho position. So therefore, if I write this as only aniline A, this is meta, para and ortho, the basicity would be better for para than compared to that of meta aniline and ortho. Here in the case of CH3, if there are two CH3 groups, those two CH3 groups will definitely give repulsions with the groups on the ortho position. So this lone pair would be mostly localized, mostly localized. Since it is mostly localized and you are comparing that with delocalized, remember when you have only NH2, it doesn't experience SIER effect. This lone pair will be involved in resonance. So this is delocalized while this is localized. So obviously this will be more basic in nature. Like that, try the rest of the questions. Use ortho effect in all of them. Okay, in few cases, check out how many alkyl groups are present. Next, here if you check out, this was the similar question that was asked in JEE this time, slightly different, but almost similar type. If these four are being given, how do we check out the basicity? Right. First of all, we will judge filter through localize and delocalize. So this is quite localized because of the SIR effect. Right, because of this SIR effect, it is quite localized. This lone pair is delocalized. This lone pair is also delocalized. This lone pair is also delocalized. So first category is clear. One is definitely greater than the rest of them. Now between these, let me write 4 here. Yeah. So between these three, rest of the three, if you check it out, NO2 is sufficiently big in size, so it will experience SIR effect if ortho position is covered with NO2 methyl or any other group, which means this NO2 cannot exist in the same plane as that of these two NO2s. So hence I can say that this NO2's plus R effect would be less because it cannot come, it can't show the planarity. So it will only show minus I effect. While cyanide is quite linear, so that does not experience any SIR effect. So here no SIR effect. Since it has no SIR effect, it would have both minus I as well as minus M effect. So this is much strongly withdrawing as compared to that of NO2 here. Otherwise, generally we know that NO2 is strongly withdrawing than CN, but here CN is strongly withdrawing than NO2. So because it is strongly withdrawing, its basicity will be very less. So 1 is definitely greater than 2 because 2 only has donating groups. Then third and fourth, third is better as compared to that of fourth. So that is clear. Do the same filtration for this one also on the third question also, localized, delocalized, hybridized and different forms of hybridized and come up with an answer. Same is the case with fourth one. Okay. Fifth one, sixth one, these are all some good cases. Please go through that and finish rest of all the questions today. Okay. Now, these are all the cases of basic nature. Coming to the properties here now. Right. What are the general properties of amines here? First, amines do have a fishy order, right? And aniline and amines usually are colorless. They would get colored, suppose if you take aniline and aryls, they might get colored in case if you expose it to atmospheric oxygen, because in atmospheric oxygen slowly it will get oxidized to get this hydroxylamine. Hydroxylamine will be blue to red colored depending upon different groups we have. Okay. So it will start getting coloration in case of hydroxylamine is formed. Okay. All the lower aliphatic amines, which includes methyl, okay, ethyl, propyl. Up to this, we will see the solubility is good in water because of its hydrogen bonding. But as you keep on increasing more and more aliphatic chains, the stability decreases because hydrophobic part increases. Hydrophobic part decreases solubility. So that will decrease the solubility. So I can say higher amines are insoluble. Okay. Now if you compare alcohols and amines, alcohols are in fact more soluble than amines. Okay. So in case of amines, we will have R, N, lone pair H and H. For instance, I am comparing that with alcohol, right? Now the extent of hydrogen bonding is same here. Here also extent is 3. Here also extent is 3. But oxygen, because of its more electronegative nature, the hydrogen present on oxygen is much more polarized as compared to that of hydrogen present on nitrogen. So for intermolecular forces, alcohols would be better compared to that of amines. So you would see alcohols are more polar and they would have stronger hydrogen bonding compared to that of amines. Solubility of butanol and butanamine, if you compare these two, definitely butanol would be more soluble compared to that of butanamine in water. If you compare primary, secondary, amines, right? So they would have, hydrogen bonding. You can see there are protons present on it, hydrogen here. But tertiary, there is no hydrogen. So intermolecular hydrogen bonding is missing here. Okay, sometimes you would be asked what is the extent of hydrogen bonding here. For example, if at all it is there, no solvent is given, only like this it is given and asked extent of hydrogen bonding. Okay, extent of hydrogen bonding is the amount of lone pairs and polar hydrogens you have. It has one lone pair, two hydrogens, so it is 3. In primary amine it is 3. Secondary amine, one lone pair, one hydrogen, it is 2. Okay, extent of hydrogen bonding for this is 2. But when it comes to R3N, right, although it has a lone pair, we will stay 0 because there is no extent of hydrogen bonding, as although it has a lone pair, the next molecule doesn't have an hydrogen to attract. There won't be any hydrogen bonding existing between tertiary amines. Okay. So extent of hydrogen bonding here is 3, which means it is better. It has better intermolecular forces compared to this, and least would be for R3N. Okay. Now this can be pointed out with an example here. If you check it out, comparable molar masses, alcohol, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, butanol, right? This is butanamine, and this is at the secondary 2-degree butanamine, right? And this is second degree, tertiary, and pentane, which is almost having the same molar mass, similar molar mass. If you compare the boiling point of all of them, the polarity is much better for alcohol, so that will have more boiling point compared to primary amine. Extent of hydrogen bonding is 3 here. Here also extent of hydrogen bonding is 3, except the branching is more here, so that will be having less boiling point compared to the next one. Then compared to this one, because this does not have any hydrogen bonding, only dipole interactions would be there because it has a lone pair. And then lastly pentane, which will have only van der Waal interactions. Okay, remember important order, how the functional groups boiling point of their comparable molar masses. I hope all of you understood that. Right, so these are the physical and general properties of amines. Okay, now if you see the reactions of amine, the main reaction is about how it will act like a base. Right, now check it out, how it will react with acids. If you have RNH2 being base, it will extract proton and it will form RNH3 plus and X minus. Similarly, if you have this here, we have NH3 plus and X minus. Right. Now, if you compare the stability, okay, if you compare the stability here, see this is relatively more basic as compared to that of aniline. Anilines are less basic. So aniline salt will react with NaOH, got it, and it can regenerate the parent amine, got it. So which means you can see that this HX might go and it can come back to this depending upon whether it is more basic or less basic. Okay. If you see aniline here, aniline is slightly more stable because of its resonance stabilization. So reaction would be more in the backward direction. Okay. For instance, if you have RNH3HX is forming. I'll take it for alkyl cases. Okay, be with me on this. I'm taking alkyl amine cases. In case of alkyl amine cases, we will get sufficient amount of salt, ammonium salt, and ammonium salt, when you treat with NaOH, it will immediately regenerate the same ammonia, NH2, and it will form NaCl, NaX in this case, plus H2O. So whenever you want to regenerate the ammonia from its ammonium salt, just add NaOH, aqueous NaOH, and that will be sufficient to make this reaction. I guess this is clear. Now, this becomes a very important method for separation of ammonium salts, right? And any mixture of ammonias are present, then also we can use this for separating out. How does it happen? Let me tell you. Suppose if I take amine salts, which means if I take RNH3 plus X minus, or if I take R2NH X minus, or if I take R3N plus R3 R3NH plus X minus, or even if I take R4 N plus and X minus. These are all salts, ammonium salts. All the ammonium salts here, right, they are soluble in water because they have enough polarity now. They are soluble in H2O. Okay. So I'll call anything which is soluble in water, we will refer to that as aqueous layer. Okay. From now onwards, we'll refer that as aqueous layer. If at all it is in amine form, okay, it is if it is in the salt form, it is definitely insoluble in organic solvent. The types of solvent which we will usually take are ethers. For reference, we always take ethers as the organic solvents, and we will call this as ethereal layer. Okay. So one important note what need to be found from here is that if you take ammonium salts, they are insoluble in ethereal layer, but they are soluble in aqueous layer. And this we will use as an important basis for separating the amines, and any other compounds. For example, if I have toluene and NH2, see, as long as we have an amine forms, right, all of these are soluble in organic solvents like ethers. So as soon as I add a mixture of aniline and CH3, both get dissolved in ether. So this is a complete ethereal layer which we have. Okay. Now suppose if I react with aqueous HCl, I am treating with aqueous HCl. The ammonia part will immediately react as this reaction here. You can see that HX reaction, and it will form ammonium salt, right? It will form ammonium salt. Now I am adding aqueous HCl, which means dilute HCl I am adding. So now I got two layers in the solution, right? Because earlier there was only ether. Now I will have two layers. One is an aqueous solution, the other one is an ether solution, which is an organic solution. Okay. Now in the aqueous solution, we will have the salt. The salt that would be is ammonium, which is anilinium chloride, Cl minus. This will be dissolved completely in aqueous layer. But in the organic layer, we will see, toluene is present, because toluene didn't react with aqueous HCl, so it will remain in the ethereal layer. This is the ethereal layer, this is the aqueous layer. Correct? Now both of them are present. This is the complete solution which we have now. Got it? Right? From here, what I am doing, from here, suppose if I remove the complete organic layer now, and I only take aqueous layer. Got it? So let me take this entire thing is aqueous layer now. In this aqueous layer, now if at all I add NaOH, if I add NaOH to this, right? So first I separated because I can separate organic and aqueous layer depending upon their density. So from the top I can remove this organic layer and remaining would be the aqueous layer. So in the aqueous layer, imagine I added NaOH. When you add NaOH, we know that this ammonium salts will react with NaOH and form this, right? And to separate that out, what I am doing now, again in this I am adding ether, I am adding ether to it. As soon as I get two layers now. Now in this entire solution, when you add with ether, I will get two layers now. One is the ethereal layer, the organic layer, the other one is the aqueous layer. Now in the aqueous layer, you can see these two will get dissolved. Obviously water and NaCl will be present in the aqueous layer. Now aniline, which was insoluble in aqueous solution, will get dissolved in organic layer. So what do we get here is pH NH2. So you could see finally we were able to separate this from here, NH2, and from this we were able to separate, toluene from here. So toluene and aniline could have been separated by this. So this is a very standard method by which we will separate out ammonium salts or amines with other forms. Okay, I guess all of you got an idea how this separation is done, right? So we will use this as the important fundamental here. Let me show you how. Right. So this is the first thing what we have seen is the acidic reactions. Again, we'll come through the test. I'll show you that. See, acylation reaction is when it acts like a nucleophile. The lone pair on nitrogen acts like a nucleophile. So we'll have R, N, H2 reacting with R, C double bond O, Cl. So it will attack here, SNTD mechanism, Cl will leave, so ammonia will be formed. Acid chlorides, anhydrides, esters all will react. Today also we discussed amides doesn't react. Okay. So finally we will have R, C double bond O, NH and R. So what we get is an amide forms. Got this? So amides are formed by acylation. Next, in case, okay, if we react that with R, C double bond O, Cl here, first acylation will happen here as NH, C double bond O, Cl here, right? And the remaining hydrogen and Cl which are present, that would exist like a pyridinium salt here. So we will have this as pyridinium plus and Cl minus. So pyridinium salt will be formed. So this reaction would be always in the forward direction. What do we call this? Sorry, this is CH3. Now in this case R. Okay. Next. Nitrogen as a lone pair, in case if you have Br2CS, this time it doesn't react with Br2 directly here, got it? But instead you see that it would go for electrophilic aromatic substitution and we'll have all bromines connected on 2, 4, 6 and this would appear like a white PPT. This you have to remember that aniline, otherwise we don't see this reaction 0 to 5 degrees, which is not the same reaction what you will see in phenols. Okay, just recall phenols once again. In phenols what we have seen, in if you react with bromine in the presence of CS2, because the amount of electrophile present Br2, right, this itself will act like an electrophile where the pi bond from here will attack. So this OH is not so strongly donating as compared to that of NH2 that it will give 2,4,6 with CS2 solvent. Instead we will have ortho and para. Okay, same is the case if you treat that with FeBr2 in the with Br2, but bromine water we will get 2,4,6. So Br and Br here. So we'll get this as 2,4,6 tribromophenol. This is also white PPT. So I guess you understood that how the acetylation is done, or in this case these two are EAS reactions. These are EAS reactions. Okay. Suppose if I want to make sure that ammonia doesn't need to have all three bromines, I want only para position, right? Then we do locking. This also we have learned that when you have uh, aniline treated with CH3COCl, first acetylation is done. Acetylation will happen here, NH, C double bond O, CH3. Okay, acetanilide is formed. Then now this nitrogen is not so strongly donating to benzene because of its cross conjugation. So the lone pair is conjugated on both the side. Overall it is donating only, but not as good as that of only NH2. So 2,4,6 doesn't form here. So with bromine water, what we will see here is NH2 and Br will be formed here. Okay. If you take it in basic medium, anyways, this CH3COOH will also come out of it, and we will get NH2 back, and Br is only at para position, and that will be major product. And rest of this is CH3COO minus Na plus. These are the final products. This is how we get the mono-substituted bromine. If the acylation is done on benzoyl group, so you can see C6H5, C double bond O Cl. So this is benzoyl chloride, and lone pair is attacking here, Cl is removed. Okay. In case benzoyl chloride is used instead of acylation, we call it as benzoylation. So we will get this benzoylation as C6H5, C double bond O, NH, CH3 plus pyridinium chloride. This is what you will have. I hope that is clear now. Now, mainly in this chapter, it is about the test. What are the types of tests we will be using? Okay, three major tests: nitrous acid test, carbylamine test, and uh, Hinsberg test. So, let me start with carbylamine test. Carbylamine test is also known as isocyanate test. If you recall, we have come across this before also, that if you have any primary amine, it could be either alkyl or aryl, both on heating with chloroform and ethanolic KOH, then isocyanates are formed which will have a very foul smell. Okay, that is the indication that it must have been a primary amine. So the overall reaction is this, that we take primary amine, react with chloroform, KOH, okay, and sometimes heat is mentioned or not. This is slightly greater than the room temperature, but that is okay, reaction will happen either ways. And we will have 3 moles of it. Again, just like Hoffman bromamide, there was a question asked how many moles of NaOH. This was also asked. So remember, in overall reaction, 3 moles of KOH are utilized to finally form the product as R N triple bond C plus minus, which is isocyanide, plus 3 moles of KCl plus 3 moles of H2O. This is the overall reaction. So isocyanide is. This reaction is exclusively for 1 degree amines. 2 degree, 3 degree amines does not show this reaction. So this is used as the test for 1 degree. Let us just go through the mechanism once. First, CHCl3 and KOH will make an acid-base reaction. So we will have CCl3 minus, and we have been checking out this, that CCl3 minus is unstable. So Cl minus will leave and creates a dichlorocarbene molecule here. So CCl2, which has an empty orbital, which means it can act like an electrophile. So E plus electrophile. So now if you have a primary amine, that primary amine will react with this, and first we will have this kind of a salt formation here, okay, and the minute you have, you can see within the molecule we have C minus, which is relatively stronger base, so it will immediately extract a proton through intramolecular proton transfer, and we would have CH, Cl here, NH, okay. The solution is basic, and this lone pair would be supported to chlorine, carbon, so that chlorine can leave. So minus Cl minus. So we would get nitrogen with double bond carbon. The motivation is nitrogen carbon double bond is much having a strong bond dissociation energy. So instead of having any repulsions here, it will relieve chlorine and makes a double bond with carbon. So we will have N double bond C here. Because the solution is basic, OH minus will extract proton from here. So we would have Rn double bond C, Cl. Again, triple bond is more stable, so this will support as a triple bond, Cl minus will leave. So we will get this. Okay, got it. Protonated isocyanide, and OH minus is still present, it will take away this proton, and finally we will have isocyanide formation. Okay, the minute isocyanide is formed, it will give a foul smelling gas. I mean, isocyanide will come out as a foul smelling gas. So that's how the overall reaction is done. Now if you see the number of OH minus used, we have used one OH minus here, correct? We have used one OH minus here to extract the proton, and we have used one OH minus here. So that's why it is 3 moles of KOH that has been used during the reaction. And the same mechanism can be done for aryl also, got it? And with CHCl3 KOH, you will get this isocyanide. If it was secondary step will come up to this and stop, because after this there is no other hydrogen to be removed out, so it will end up like a salt here. Tertiary would stop here itself, got it? I hope you guys understood that.